Good evening, President Rodriguez, members of the Common Council. I would just wish to briefly report on the partnership that the Large City School District of Middletown is doing with Middletown Community Health Centers, along as well with Affinity. This partnership, working with the public and private sector, will allow our school district to provide our children with very important medical needs, especially in the area of preventive care. Among them, full dental services for each school, point-of-care testing such as for strep throat, flu, throat cultures, immunization days at each school, partnership during annual health fairs, same-day appointments for issues as needed, and assistance in accessing health care insurance. And even though the children are not required to apply to Affinity, but the option will be there available. Many of our children within our community don't happen to have health care, and these are vital services. So working in partnership with the private sector, such as Affinity and the Community Health Center, we hope to, in an efficient and effective manner, meet the needs of our school children. And I think it's one step in the right direction. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I'm hoping today that the council will approve the We Care marching permits because, yes, even though we were able to get the power plant pipelines permits denied, I have to disagree with the council. All darts matter when it comes to clean air and clean water. Also, DECA is expected to be removed, and that means thousands of children will lose the opportunity to live in this great and amazing country. And still, we aren't a sanctuary for the least among us. That's not why I'm here today. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I was in the library in Maple Hill Elementary School, and there was an announcement on all the adults started crying, and so were some of the kids. And then there was a second announcement, and kids were getting picked up from school. And then, I had to take the bus back, but I'm never gonna forget the day. So I opened the door, and my mom's crying in front of the TV. The images burnt into my mind, and I asked my mom, "Why are you crying?" And she told me that my dad was assigned to work in the towers today. And she said that she tried contacting him, but he wasn't answering the phone. And I'm thinking to myself, why is a police officer assigned to a building? So 3 days passed by, and we still haven't heard from my dad. Then we hear a knock on the door, and it was my dad. And this dark-skinned man was now whiter than I was, and he had this look of despair on his face. I still don't know why he never called, but he did tell me his story. He was in the first building when the plane hit. A piece of debris hit his partner from above. They made it down and out, and as he was driving away in the rear view mirror, he saw the building collapse. For the next 3 days, without sleep, my dad was trying his best to help the victims, both the survivors and the dead alike. That's the day he lost his faith in God, and the day I learned that heroes don't stay silent and act even when it seems hopeless. The firefighters, the police officers, and all those who stand up for the least among us, these are the heroes and my brothers and sisters. I'm proud of the city, but I'm disgusted by its politicians. I hate coming up and speaking, and I hate the attention because I am shy in real life. But enough is enough. I said violent crimes were on a decline, yet the council can't understand why people such as the rabbi from Mount Sinai, or the immigrants, or the least among us don't feel safe. There's already ICE raids happening in Orange County, and I promise you it's only going to get worse. When 1 out of 5 people in Middletown live in poverty, giving out unnecessary fines to a shrinking population can mean the difference between feeding your child or getting your driver's license removed. Yes, violent crimes have been going down nationally, but you guys are the danger to Middletown and democracy when you guys colluded to get my name off the ballot to stop people from getting a second voice.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just want to say thank you to the board for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
And I say everything with all due respect, as I respect all your positions in our elected government. I'm hoping that you will serve the people to the best of your abilities and do the proper due diligence that takes to properly represent the people. So the first thing I want to do, my name is Scott Martens. I was born and raised in the city of Middletown. I traveled, I went to school in a different state, and I came back here with my wife so that we could raise our children here because I believe that this is the most beautiful place to be. And I live now in the Minisink Valley. I want to first give you guys an update on the CPV power plant and where the construction stands. Last week, the New York State DEC denied the 401 water quality permit for the pipeline that will feed fracked gas to this plant. That is huge. What that means is that for anybody out there who says it's too late, it's not. And the door is now open for politicians like yourselves to stand up for the rights of the citizens. And I urge you all to do that, please. Newhouse did it. Berkman did it. The representative from Middletown in the county legislature, our county executive, and an assemblyman from our county is also behind this fight. So I urge you all to do the same. There's a few comments I'd like to make to set the record straight based on statements that were made at last month's City Council meeting. The CPV power plant and Millennium Valley pipeline are inextricably linked. One cannot function without the other. They are not separate. The pipeline will feed fracked gas to the plant to make it operational. It cannot operate without. It only has a permit to operate for 30 days in a whole year on another source. So to say that they are separate is absolutely ludicrous. In fact, it's against the law. This is the question called illegal segmentation. Segmentation refers to when an entity attempts to separate a project into components so the overall effects appear reduced. This is what CPV and Millennium have done in tandem to make this project look better than it actually is. The assertion was also made that the city's only involvement with CPV was solely for the wastewater for the cooling. But the truth is that Middletown's agreement to let CPV use this gray water enabled CPV to happen, period. The CPV company would never have gotten the necessary permitting if they would have had to use the water from the Wallkill River aquifer. It is our sole aquifer. They never would have been allowed to do that. By the city of Middletown agreeing to let them use the wastewater, that allowed this project to proceed. Not only that, CPV was also granted 2 zoning waivers to facilitate the construction of CPV's auxiliary facilities within the city limits. There are CPV auxiliary buildings in the city of Middletown. That makes it the city of Middletown's interest. Middletown's contractual obligation, the city of Middletown's contractual obligation to CPV is far more important, is not more important than the rights to stand up for the public health and safety of its constituents. It is not. It is not wealth over health. It is health over wealth. You cannot agree to something until you have been sure that it is not going to harm your citizens. And that was never done. In fact, that was the whole basis of the DEC denial of the permit. It was denied because there was an improper environmental review.
Your 4 minutes
So
are
it's
up.
been sent back. Can I please have 1 more minute, sir? Thank you. The real environmental benefit would have been for the city of Middletown to never have allowed this project to happen. To say that the city of Middletown made the project more environmentally sound by using this gray water, it's really not the honest truth. And that is the truth. If the city of Middletown knew about this project for 15 years like it was asserted, why is it that not at one point did they ask for public approval or even just ask the residents what they thought about this? Why doesn't everybody know about this if this was all out on the open for 15 years? There was also an unbelievable statement made, blaming the citizens themselves for this power plant, claiming that if you don't run as a citizen, and this is for everybody watching, if you don't run as a citizen, you're to blame for something like this happening. That is an unfair and undemocratic statement, and you cannot allow this to happen. We as citizens rely on our elected officials to work in our best interest and include us in important decision-making, like a plant of this magnitude. This isn't a small plant. This will be the biggest power plant of its kind in New York. It will represent 10% of the total greenhouse gas emissions for the entire state in one place. And it sits right next to the Fourth Ward. The environmental impact, the environmental justice impact alone is staggering and criminal.
I gave you an extra minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. And thank you all very much for your time and consideration. I appreciate it.
Anyone else who would like to address the council?
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Sweeney. I'm a resident of the town of Greenville. I recently watched the August 15th Middletown Common Council meeting on public access television. During this meeting, Mayor DeStefano made the following comments in regards to the use of Middletown gray water and cooling the CPV power plant. The communities that needed to speak, and I've said to Mr. Martens when he was here a few times, were the communities like Wayweanda, Minnesink, Greenville, and those local communities needed to speak loudly. Ironically, in regards to CPV, I don't believe there are any candidates challenging people in any of those races, so you speak in the ballot box. If you oppose, you're a resident of Wayweanda, and you have friends that live in Wayweanda, and they approve a project that you don't support, and you don't run for office or get somebody else to run for office, don't blame it on me in the city of Middletown. Don't blame it on the Common Council here in the city of Middletown. Blame it on yourself. Blame it on the people that live there who oppose the project. Not one. I checked today on the Board of Elections website, and I don't believe there is one Democrat. Now, I'm a Democrat. I don't believe there is one Democrat running for town councilman or supervisor in any of those communities. So shame on them, not shame on us. So we made a business decision on a project that was going to be built and be constructed, and it's to benefit our citizens, and it's also an environmentally positive impact decision that we made. You can spin it any way you want, but you can't dispute the fact that rather than using groundwater, potable water, that they're going to be using treated sewage water to cool this project. Well, Mr. DeStefano was incorrect when stating that there were no Democrats running in those communities. I'm running for town councilman in the town of Greenville, and there's also 3 individuals running in Wayweanda, 2 for councilman and 1 for supervisor. I had contacted him requesting that he correct this inaccuracy during this meeting. However, I did not receive any indication that this would happen, and so I decided to come make this statement for anyone living in either Greenville or Wayweanda who may be watching tonight, so that I can set the record straight that there are individuals contesting those elections. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address the council?
Can I get 4 more minutes?
No. Remarks of department head, economic development.
Hold on, Maria. Mr. Fernandez, please don't leave. I want to answer your, I want to answer your corrupt, what you call corruption and what you call colluding.
Sorry, Maria.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to let you know what a great summer we had with all our events. We wrapped up our summer events, and now we're on to fall and the holiday season. At the Paramount, we have a couple shows coming up. We have an opera this weekend, and next weekend, a comedy show, Donnell Rawlings. And then throughout the rest of the season, we're introducing our sci-fi weekend, movie weekend, and horror-thon weekend. So as you can see, the activities will continue. Check our website. Also, the Bid District is putting out a call for Christmas tree for our Festival Square event, so we're gearing up for the holiday season, as you can see. And also, don't forget our CDBG program, Housing Rehab. Please contact us if you want to know about housing rehab and small business loans. And that's all I have for this evening.
Any question for Maria? Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
DBW Commissioner.
Good evening, all. Regarding the water meter project, as you know, we are working with ESG regarding replacing water meters throughout the city of Middletown with the new, more modern mag meters. They are much more accurate, and the resident will be able to go on a website, see how much water they have used, if there's any leakage in their system. A text message or an email can be sent over to them. They can really conserve water and watch how much water they use. It's an excellent water conservation project. However, out of 7,500, so far we have around 800 to 900 people who have not responded. You have gotten so many notifications, so I respectfully request that everybody calls PMI, the company that's been trying to call you. They have tried like 6 different times with door knockers. We tried ourselves, the water department, to get your attention. We are left with 2 choices. This program will not happen piecemeal. It has to be done all at once in order for it to be cost effective and to be worth the investment. So we are faced with two options in here. One is to shut the water off for residents, which we don't want to do, although we have sent out the notification in writing to each and every one. It's mandatory replacement. If you don't respond, unfortunately, the water may have to be shut off. Of course, we don't want to do that. But the other option is we have like a water meter reading surcharge, which is, it's up to the Board of Estimate and the Common Council to decide on that. There's probably going to be about $200. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm only the commissioner. I don't set the cost of reading, but we're going to have to work on that. So you're going to be assessed instead of water meters, instead of water and sewer bill being high, and there's going to be higher yet because it's going to cost us more money to come over and physically read your meter instead of the signal being automatically transferred over to City Hall and to the cloud where it's available for you and it's available for us. It's a greener solution. We don't have to drive around. We don't have to do anything. The signal is coming right back to us in there. So help us, please. Make sure that this project go to a completion, and so we can be proud of it, and you guys can be proud of it. So those 800 people, please respond to us as soon as possible. Otherwise, the contract is almost winding down. ESG is not going to be here for much longer. If you don't do it, there's going to be a penalty, unfortunately, associated with it, and we don't want to do that. So please help us. Woolworth Building, tomorrow, North Street, it's because of the construction of the Woolworth Building. North Street will be closed from 7 a.m. in the morning until 10 a.m., from 7 until 10 a.m. Please avoid that area. The reason behind it is because the contractor, the GC, wants to put his fencing up, and they have to drill some holes into the sidewalk. After 10 o'clock, the sidewalk will be reopened. Part of the sidewalk in front of Woolworth will not be accessible to the public, but you can still walk on that side of the street. I did tell you about Manhagan Brook repair between the water department and the DPW department in there. It took us almost a year and a half, 2 years to get the permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. The work was completed in less than a week, and it's all completed and done. So with that, I will conclude my remarks. I want to say that I admire the people who are fighting, for what they believe in, and no question about it. But I don't have any hesitation in my mind as an engineer and as the Commissioner of Public Works to say that City of Middletown did make CPV greener. I know some people may not like to hear that. A green, not greener. A green project as far as their water cooling requirements are concerned, because when they came to us many years ago, and the option was for them to drill into the aquifer and to get water from the aquifer for their cooling system. Whether they were successful or not, I don't know. I mean, here's the plant. It's almost been completed. The construction has been completed, and they still may not be successful. So it's very hard to speculate. But our understanding at the time that CPV was going to utilize the groundwater in their aquifer for their cooling water needs. And that would have been, I believe, would have been a disaster for everyone, and especially for us who are trying to conserve every drop of water and save every drop of water we can. And I hope I addressed that.
Any questions? Alderman Kleiner?
Thank you. You know, people have been asking for 20, 25 years that if they can get a traffic light at Oliver and Manhagan Avenue. And that intersection just gets blinder and busier and busier. And I want to thank the commissioner. Yeah, Third Ward. I want to thank the commissioner because what he did was, in the meantime, stripe the crosswalk where the crosswalk meets up with Oliver Avenue and put pedestrian crossing signs. And you can see people slowing down when they see it. So thank you very much. It's certainly a big help.
Yes, sir.
And then one other point quickly, do we have anything new on New York Rising? Some people were asking me.
New York Rising, the engineers are still, the consultants, they are still working on gathering data and just preparing reports. We have not had any contact, meaningful contact with them about any ideas about designing or anything like that. They're just gathering information and data. And, you know, it's an extensive effort. And
Just need to finish before the funding runs out.
yeah, no, I think we're good with the funding.
Okay, thank you.
That's New York City firm.
Anyone else on the council? Thank you, Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Fire chief.
Good evening. Just here, remind everybody it's a busy week for us at the fire department. Parade's coming up. Tomorrow night is our White Hat Party at 6:30 at the American Legion. I hope you all can make it. I hope you answer Sean back because he gets on my back to you guys. I answer sometimes. And then on Friday night, we'll meet at 6 o'clock at City Hall for the inspections of all three firehouses and the fire police. And then on Saturday is the parade. Lineups at 2 o'clock, and step-offs at 3 on Holland Avenue. Hope everybody can make it. It's supposed to be nice weather, so cool in the 70s, no rain, so hope everybody can make it. And that's really all I have. Is there any questions?
We have a resolution today for the new fire truck?
Yes, there is,
Rescue?
yes.
You want to brief us on it, or the
I
council?
could, I can. They've been in committee for a long time, and Engine One definitely is in need of a new truck. It's a 94, it's 23 years old, it's held together not by too much. It's really falling apart. So we've had a couple different people, manufacturers come to us with specs, and we met with Farrar, and I think the price is around $650,000 for a new engine, a rescue engine, which we use it for MVAs and fire calls and everything. They do two things they do. And there's some equipment on the truck as part of the bid, and then the other stuff we put towards our bid in our budget for next year. So there'll be no separate bid now for equipment because we're transferring stuff over. Some stuff like ladders and hose and other stuff is in the bid for the truck. So it's around $650. They can. Greg Hopkins here. He's the committee chairman. He can speak up if he wants, but it's definitely in need of a new engine. It's not running too good. Seriously, it's really not.
Question for the fire chief? Or the committee? Thank you, chief.
Thank you, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow night.
Police chief?
Good evening, council, once again. I have a couple things just to briefly address without getting into too much detail. Unfortunately, the city suffered two tragic incidents over the last several weeks. One being Thursday, August 17th, we had a homicide on Walker Avenue where it's very unfortunate, but the city lost a 19-year-old member of the community. And then unfortunately again, on this past Sunday, September 3rd, we had an additional incident which a member of our community lost their life. This happened on the railroad tracks off of Wickham Avenue. It was an assault which, due to the injuries, the subject later succumbed and passed away. One thing I do want to express to you and to the community is we are actively working this. The incident from this past weekend, we did make an arrest. It was an acquaintance of the person. The arrest has been made. Everything's been tied up on that. The Walker Avenue one, we have followed up on more than 100 leads. They continue to come in. One obstacle that we continue to face is the non-cooperation of certain individuals. So as a community, if we could encourage the members of our community to help facilitate some cooperation and help us come to a successful conclusion for the White family. There's multiple ways that we can relay information. If you're reluctant to speak with us in person or on telephone and let us know who you are, we have a tip line. It's 346-4009. You can leave a message anonymously. Off of our website, there's an anonymous tip section that you can do an email that is not traceable to anyone. You can leave us any type of information that you have. You can send us a letter. You can call anonymously, whatever it may be. But as a community, we need to come together to help resolve situations like this and to prevent them in the future. So please, I encourage the members of our community to come together and give us some additional detailed direction on how to resolve some of this. Lastly, I have, in regards to Fire Chief's comment about the fire parade, just a reminder, the streets will be closed for the fire parade. There will be some inconveniences. Highland Avenue, West Main Street, North Street, out to Wickham Avenue. Again, it's for a good cause, so please bear with us. We'll do our best to open up traffic as soon as we can.
Any question for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Superintendent of Recreation.
Good evening. As most of you know, the skate park did open with a ribbon cutting on Friday at 3 o'clock, and I don't think there's been bodies off of that since, except to sleep in when it rains. A lot of adults using it. The adults are showing the younger children proper skate park etiquette. I have to give credit to some of our teens. I see them picking up garbage and trying to keep it clean for those that are not. We have added more garbage cans, and we do want the public to know benches are coming. We just wanted to get that opened as quick as we could once the concrete was dry, and the holiday weekend it was definitely used. We're going to be meeting with a professional a skateboarder tomorrow. We do have one that lives in this town, Burton Smith, and he's going to give us some suggestions of what he sees in other towns with big skate parks and possibly running some clinics and doing some special events in the community with the skate park. So we're looking forward to doing some work with him, and he's going to be working with us. Another great project that is starting to finish up here, we have a disc golf course, a Frisbee golf course going in up in the back of Davidge. It does not affect the woods. It does not affect the bird watchers. The first 9 holes will cost $3,000. We got $2,100 already donated by residents that were out interested in doing this. Residents have been volunteering their time clearing brush. Our maintenance guys built a great little bridge. If you get a chance to walk out there, basically all the holes are done. We just got to put the baskets in, and we're ready to do that. So next year we're looking to do another 9 holes, and actually be 18 holes. Warwick does have a disc golf course. It is packed constantly, and I think we're going to see that crowd also coming into Middletown to engage in that activity. So that's a great thing. Maple Hill Pool, you're going to see some construction up there soon. We're going to be doing the resurfacing of that. That's the last of our old concrete pools. A lot of the concrete slowly kept falling into the pool this summer. We did make it through this summer. So this won't be a huge cost to the city at all, like Davidge Park ended up being. So thank you for being proactive. Thank you for allowing us to get that fixed. And before the fall ends, all that new surface will be in there. We do know that the Fireman's Parade is Saturday, but also just a reminder to the public that on Sunday is the Rotary Horse Show up at Davidge Park. That also is a great family event. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Sorry, any questions for Chris? Thank you, Chris. Corporation Counsel. Any questions for Richard? Thank you. City Clerk?
Just a couple things. Going back to the fire parade this Saturday, the closings will be on the website, so everybody should be watching that, to making sure the times when the roads will be closed and when they'll be open. There is a resolution tonight for the okay of the zoning map. That is just to put the official zoning map as July 1st into the city code, and after that is approved tonight, it'll be on the website, and it also will have to go to the county, which will be taken care of in the next few days. And that's all I have for tonight.
Any question for John? Thank you. Remarks of the mayor.
Good evening. First, I'd like to congratulate the truck committee of the Monhegan Fire Company for their excellent work, and especially Tommy and Badillo, former chief, who, when the committee came in originally with a truck, I think we were pushing in excess of $800,000, and Tom promised to bring the truck in the sixes, and he did. and they're getting what they want also. So an excellent job by Tom and the truck committee, and we look forward to the parade on Saturday. And hopefully everyone will be able to make the Friday night inspections. The skateboard park, as Chris said, has been crazy, actually. We really had a huge crowd every single day, and they are taking care of the project and the park. And we have also, Chris mentioned, added some garbage cans, but they became so busy that the cans were overflowing, but they still laid the garbage right around the can, which was nice. So, but we didn't know there'd be that much of a hit, but it was. And I want to thank the hard work of the all involved, from Jacob and Chris to Maria, John Bianchi, and all the volunteers. It was nice to have Eric come tonight and say thank you, but Eric was instrumental in assisting Spone Ranch with the design. I also saw him take a header on it on opening day, and I don't know how he got up, but he did. So it was, it's been a very successful project, and just so everyone keeps in mind, that whole area will be redesigned, and that's why we're not moving too quickly with the benches, and the architects will be hired in the very near future to complete the design under the $10 million downtown revitalization grant. Also, thank you to Kevin Gomez for that report on the health program through the schools, much needed and necessary. And I need to, as you know, respond to a couple of things. One, we've been through the CPV thing, a few times, and there's been a lot of misrepresentations here, and they're not on our side. The misrepresentations are about the level of review of this project. And all of the people that have been coming here and to these meetings and other meetings and saying that we don't have faith in the DEC or the EPA are the very same people applauding the decision by the DEC not to issue the Millennium permit, the Millennial Pipeline permit for the CPV. So it is not our job here in the city of Middletown, I can't say it over and over and over again, to review, to do the environmentals, to spend millions of dollars of city taxpayers' money on a project that is in the town of Wawayanda. This review, to represent that the review, the level of review that this project underwent, and to paint a picture that the city was excluded from this review and analysis of the project air emissions is just not true. The modeling of the facility is dictated by the scientific methods established by the EPA and approved by the DEC. The process requires a radius to be studied. That radius included Middletown and is independent of municipal boundaries, as I stated. There is no distinction between the town or city boundaries whatsoever, and no way for a specific area to be excluded from the review. So the Middletown review, Middletown was included in the project review, and everything else within the geographic area. Given the project's proximity to the city of Middletown, the air impacts to the city were studied extensively and have been highlighted and approved by the DEC. This has been highlighted to the, and they have been pointed out to the EIS, the opponents. They have been pointed to it in the environmental impact statement that shows the area studied. Yet they keep making comments implying that nothing was studied here for the city of Middletown impact. Despite highlighting all of these facts, on a number of occasions they continue to try to elicit panic by telling people that the plants were not evaluated. The plant was not evaluated. They went so far as to sue the New York State DEC on the Valley's, on CPV Valley's air permit. The judge heard their claim and denied it. They produced no credible evidence for the court. The court denied their claim and found that the DEC did everything appropriately when issuing the air permit. They tried to appeal the judge's decision, and then they abandoned their case in court. This was just another demonstration that their accusations and claims just aren't true. and they just really don't want to have a debate with the public or with the people on these type of issues. The Millennial Pipeline is a separate permit, and as the first permit, I will stand behind whatever the DEC and the EPA do in that regards. You can't come here and boast or pound your chest and say that the DEC rejected this permit, and the DEC is right today, but the other decisions are wrong. It just doesn't make sense. The people who have the responsibility, the expertise, the financing to do the environmental evaluation of this plant is the DEC and the EPA. And whatever other studies that the town of Wawayanda may or may not have required as part of the approval process when they went through the planning board. So again, I don't think Middletown taxpayers would appreciate us spending several millions of dollars on projects in surrounding communities, and we have state and federal agencies that are doing that. Whether the DEC made the right decision or not, I don't know. In some ways, I don't really care. It's not a Middletown project. It's about a $1 billion project that is on the outskirts of the city. And really, there's going to be, if the plant opens, there will be a benefit financially to the city of Middletown by the sale of gray water, which does make the CPV project green. We can disagree on that with the people who oppose it, but they can't say that by the city providing gray water to the project, they cannot definitively say that the project would not have happened because they had other options. As for all the fuel sources, I don't know. That's up to the DEC, who everyone is applauding right now. They did a great job for all the people who oppose that project. They themselves are saying the DEC was right. I understand the process has more to go. It's a wait and see for us, but I don't think the people want me to raise their taxes to go fight a project in the town of Wawayanda when the state and the EPA are doing that very job. Now, as for Mr. Sweeney's comments, I think when he read my quote, he said, I don't believe, so I don't think I represented it as an accurate, 100% accurate. But I'm going to read you in 2013 and 2015, in the town of Greenville, no Democrat ran for office. 7 offices each year, not one Democrat ran for office. The town of Minnesink, 7 offices, 2013, 2015, when this project was going through the approval process. And I think, I don't have the 11 figures here, but I thought I printed them, but I didn't. I believe it was the same thing in 2011. So while this project was going through the approval process, not one of these gentlemen stood up to run for office or to voice their concern about the project as far as the record here shows at the Board of Elections. Wawayanda did have candidates, not for all the races, but for most of them. In fact, the most ardent opponents to the project, they ran on that. Mr. Hurst, I recall his election. He was defeated. The Wawayanda people spoke. So I don't know what else to, what they're hoping to accomplish by getting Middletown, sticking Middletown, or attempting to stick Middletown into a battle that we have a contractual relationship with over this project. But I have confidence, as they do, because they said it tonight, they like the DEC decision, that the DEC and the EPA will do the right thing. If the right thing is denying the opening of the CPV plant, I'm not going to Middletown taxpayers and asking them to fight the appeal and to appeal the decision, just like I'm not going to go to them and try to block the project. It's standing on its own, and when it's been approved, it stood on its own. When their permits have been denied, it stands on its own. It's not a city of Middletown issue, as far as I see it. So the one other issue that Mr. Martens mentioned about zoning waivers, again, not true. He's not telling you that the city attorney researched the connection at 17M, and although CPV is paying for the construction of that connection, that will be owned by the New York Power Authority and is exempt from city zoning. Our city attorney, Alex Smith, did extensive research on that matter, issued a written legal opinion to the Common Council, to myself, and just like any other utility in certain areas, they are exempt from that zoning. So, so again, not a true statement regarding the project. But as we move forward, I hope that they will at least recognize that the DEC did do their job and that they were happy with the outcome. And if that's the end game, then so be it. That's all I have to say. If there's any questions, I will certainly take them. I don't have any other comments for this evening.
Reckathum?
Yes.
Can I beat a dead horse and ask about West Main?
I thought, did you ask about
No, he asked about New York
Oh,
Rising.
New York Rising?
I'm asking about,
2 weeks? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're talking about Rich Mayfield's money?
yes.
Yes. It was in the newspaper, so they advertised it. Yeah, so Jacob says they're telling us 2 weeks. It's tomorrow. But we'll continue. We had Mr. Mayfield here last week, and I threatened to give out his home phone number. So maybe we'll have to do that because he's not delivering.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Remarks of Alderman. Alderman Massey.
Please bear with me tonight. I do have a few things. One, on the skate park, I was amazed and so pleased to